Hey guys, it's Levi. First of all, a big thanks to all of you. We have reached the first milestone of 1000 subscribers on YouTube together. This wouldn't have been possible without a single one of you. As you might know, this journey of mine started 2 months ago with my first Albion Online video. Although my journey will continue with Albion Online videos for now, I would like to take this opportunity to share that my long-term goal is to build a community for years to come and to have fun together in all sorts of gaming adventures, and not just Albion. To help grow this community, I created the Levi Discord server, which has almost half the amount of YouTube subscribers at this point. Since half of you like to use Discord, I thought it would be a nice idea to create a special tag for my early supporters. Until the end of July, there will be a 1k subs channel on the Levi Discord server. If you react there, you will get the OG supporter tag on Discord. Now this tag won't do anything special, but it will be your badge of proof that you are one of my early supporters. Something I will always be grateful for, and a nice flex for you later down the road, of course. So if you haven't joined Discord yet, make sure to do this ASAP and claim your OG supporter tag before the end of July. Since you guys liked 20 tips for progress and economy most amongst all my videos, I thought for the 1k special another wave of tips would be a great idea. This time the tips are a community effort and various members of the Levi Discord server contributed by sharing their very own tips for this video. Let's get started with some tips. Whenever I play a new game, the first thing I always do is go to settings to make sure everything is set up correctly. Now Albion has minimum controls, yet there are a few things you can change that can affect your gameplay experience positively and have a huge impact in individual moments. For that, the first tip is to go to controls and change your mouse control scheme to RTS-like controls. Many of us have played MOBA games such as League of Legends and are used to its controls. Changing to RTS-like controls will feel far more familiar. One of the things that RTS-like controls does is disable movement on left click, meaning you can only move with right click, whilst left click will be used for interaction and target selection. This way you won't start moving towards someone when you only want to select them. What goes well with the first tip is the second tip, which is using the spacebar to auto-attack your targets. The sooner you get this down, the better you will start performing in PvP. Once you have RTS-like controls, simply select your target with left click and auto-attack with spacebar. This will increase your kiting ability as well as speed and help you on your journey of becoming a foe to be feared in the world of Albion Online. Or a hero if you rather think of yourself like one instead. The third tip is to inspect your target before you engage in PvP to get an idea of what abilities they have and in what ways they can use it against you. I have inspect target set to the back quote key, which on my keyboard is the key right above the tab key. Most older Counter-Strike players will know it as the console key. A pro tip for the inspect target action is that if you click the hotkey once, the equipment window of the enemy will pop up, and if you click the hotkey once again, the window will disappear. I may or may not have only realized this whilst writing this tip, and may or may not have been using the escape key to close the inspection window instead. For tip 4, we go over something that's unknown to many players. You can mark targets in this game with various icons, but you can only do so by assigning hotkeys to them first. There are a total of 6 marks as shown in this video, and there is a final key binding that can remove these marks. Aside from having to set the key bindings for these in the first place, you also have to be in a party to use them. Only the party leader can use these marks. You can have multiple marks up simultaneously and use it both on enemy targets as well as friendly players. Marking targets improves communication by adding visuals, and as we know by now, communication is very important, both in PvE and PvP. For tip 5, I have to mention that you can loot with shift click in Albion Online. Now this tip might be funny to most of you, but to the few that didn't know this, it will be a game changer. I've had many members who were months into the game and were still dragging items from left to right and back from right to left. Simply shift click on an item instead and it will move automatically. Tip 6 is by Polkapunk, who shares that you can't leave a zone if you attack, CC or apply any negative effects to a target. So if you have a Bloodletter with you for the escape potential and use it near a gate, make sure not to hit anyone with the E skill. As soon as you do hit someone while dashing through, it will put you in combat and you won't be able to pour through any longer. This goes for any offensive skill that does damage to other players. If you can, use the dash on your W instead. which does not have any damage to it and will not put you in combat. As said before, CC and negative effects also put you in combat. An example I was victim of in my earlier days was the Enfeeble Aura skill on the Guardian Armor. Although this skill doesn't do any damage, it affects other players negatively in the form of a damage debuff and a slow. Because of this, you will also get into combat and won't be able to port through any longer. Once you are in combat, it takes about 20 seconds of not doing any damage or CC to leave combat once again. And I might be wrong on that number, but it definitely feels like a good 10 minutes instead. Tip 7 is by Scipius, who shares that if you wish to buy a large quantity of a certain item, you can set the buy order for a higher price than the current sell orders. So if you want to buy a stack of tier 4 runes, instead of buying them individually or in smaller quantities, put the buy order for the amount you wish to purchase and the price per item and let the system do your work. If your buy order bought up all the sell orders and didn't complete, it will remain as a regular order instead. If you don't want that, make sure to cancel the remaining buy order. Tip 8 is by RubyBro, who has his own ways of making money as a beginner and wishes to share this with a lot of you. RubyBro says farming the tier 4 royal sigils from the expeditions takes very little time and is a safe way of making some daily money as a beginner. For this, you simply go to the expedition master within the town and start the adept's individual expedition. Once you are done, you get your daily sigil, which currently sells for 40k each. Tip 9 is by Rusty, who will help you with never dying to gate campers again. If you wish to avoid gate campers, you should find the dungeon close to the gate. Go in and wait a minute for your bubble cooldown to be over. Once it's over, zone out again and simply run past the gate campers with the bubble. For tip 10, Rusty suggests a few item options for different occasions. Graveguard armors are very popular right now for ganking purposes, and the item he suggests you to take to counter it is the Soldier Helmet. The Soldier Helmet's special skill is called Block, which makes you immune to all damage and crowd control effects for 2 seconds. It also won't put you in combat, so it's a really good item to have for your escape build. Double-bladed staff is the best weapon to transport with according to Rusty. It also happens to be one of the best ganking weapons right now, so the mobility on it can be used for both purposes. Tip 11 is another tip by Rusty I really feel can't be emphasized enough. I believe I shared a similar tip in my previous video with 20 tips. The tip is to never bring more expensive gear than you can afford to lose. When you enter a full PvP zone, you should consider your gear already lost. If losing your gear is a big deal for you, you might want to re-evaluate by Rusty's advice. Advice that has been shouted ever since the early days of Albion is that whatever set you are wearing, you should be able to afford 10 times over. Now some people will say 5 times over and others will say 20 times over, but I personally believe 10 times is a pretty sweet spot. Tip 12 is to change your skills between destinations. If you are going to a group dungeon for fame farming, you might get ganked or have other PvP encounters whilst you are moving to your destination. Changing to PvP skills before you head out will give you more fight back potential. Or if you don't have any PvP options, perhaps choose escape options instead. Once you are actually inside the dungeon and start fame farming, only then swap to your PvE skills. Tip 13 is by Susin, who suggests having the entering a red and black PvP zone notification on. Susin says that if you are being chased, the gankers will pass through whilst you won't, because of the notification. So you can use that time to escape, since the gankers will be stuck on the other zone for about 10 seconds before they can zone back in. My personal take on this tip is that it's a double-edged sword. While Susin's tip definitely can help you shake off these gankers, it can also slow you down in times you want to pass through as quickly as possible. Clicking the notification might cost you your life as well. So I really suggest you go with your personal preference on this one. If you already disabled this notification, simply go to the notifications tab in your settings and reset it. Tip 14 is by MinMaxWax, who shares that you can go into the Black Zone and take the Shrine Buff and scout the area to see how safe it is. You might also run into some shiny nodes in a safe way by doing this and will know exactly where they are without taking any risk. That's some next level money making tip if you ask me. He does warn you that once you start gathering, the silence debuff will remain and your invincibility buff will fade, so be careful with that. And the final tip, tip 15, is a correction on certain information I provided in some of my videos so far. When doing runs and calculating how much fame I got, I would look at my fame for killing mobs in the stats window. Failkipedia wrote in the YouTube comments that this statistic doesn't include the entirety of the fame you get. After doing some testing, it seems indeed it only registers part of your real fame gain. So whatever fame gain I mentioned in the video so far, you are getting far more. Isn't this a nice thing to know for our final tip in this video? Definitely was for me. Once again guys, thanks a lot for helping me reach 1000 subscribers. To be very honest, in my first couple videos it was very exciting to see the growth in views and subscribers, but as I started to realize how much you guys value the videos I make, those numbers kind of fell to the background. I mean, it's still nice to see view counts and gains in subscribers, but for a while now I'm just very happy to see there are people who gain value from watching my videos, to see people comment to provide additional information to the information I provide, to help each other even more, people who give feedback on my videos or join the Levi Discord server to help grow the community I aspire to. All in all, I'm just very grateful for what we are doing here together, and I hope we will continue doing so for a long time. As always, take care of yourselves and good luck in your adventures. I'll catch you guys next time.